Hi, round 25 of the NRL was insane and sets up for what will probably be the best final series in years. And the days are getting a little longer, it's getting a little warmer, finals are only a few weeks away, so we start on Thursday night with two teams that aren't playing finals football. South's 40, Dragons dot. The Dragons could have remained a mathematical chance if they'd won this game, but after losing 3 blokes to HIAs against the Wars, as well as all the other injuries they've had this year, they were only able to name 21 players in the 22-man squad, but still, having 40 on your head unanswered is still an embarrassment. Last week I said that Gutho and Clemmer were playing like they were 5 years younger, and they found all of those years again on Thursday night. Damien Cook still made 60 tackles though, the poor bloke. But I also said that I really liked Tyrone Munro and Ashton Ward, and Munro giving Clint Gutherson a 5-piece to score his own individual try ended the Dragons season and maybe Clint Gutherson. I don't know if I can look him in the eye anymore. Thomas Fletcher, I know there's been raps on him from South's fans, and now I see the vision. I like that guy a lot. But who really cares about that game? Dragons season is over. Souths get a week off now to recharge and to prepare for their most important game of the season, ending the Roosters. Friday night, the greatest 5 hours of football this year. Raiders beat Riff 20-16 with a Golden Point try, second straight dynasty-ending game. Ivan Cleary swings the axe this weekend and drops, don't listen to the media narrative that they're resting, he's dropped 16 players for this Thursday after his team has faded in the second half again and failed to run through the tape. Canberra, meanwhile, they're so good. Part of me starting to do this extra series was that I just wanted an excuse to talk about the Raiders without being called a traitor. They've got the best pack in the league, a halves pairing that's led by an underrated game manager and pace setter who picks and chooses when to unleash the absolute weapons that he's got around him, namely Ethan Strange and Kyo Weeks. Doesn't hit them on every single set, but why not? It works. They play ethical football and they're being rewarded for it. They've had a great year. Credit also to guys like Matt Tomoko, Davia Savage, and Seb Chris, who are all really super high ceiling athletes who had errors in them and walk the tightrope, and now they just hit their ceiling all the time and hold on to the ball. Then I said his name already, but how good is Ethan Strange and how good is whipping home a bloke down the sideline to beat the Panthers? And he executes the 2-on-1 perfectly. Is this karma for the Titans game where the Panthers cheated their way to Golden Point and ended up winning? The football gods are cruel and they punish disproportionately, so I say yes. I completely understand if you're a fan of an eliminated team and you want to pick up the milk the rest of the way. I want to as well, and my team's still in the fight. The miracle emoji was backed up with a game at Amy Park, and the first half was all a storm, but that didn't really matter because I was still coming down from the euphoria, and by the time that I'd calmed down, the Dogs had turned up in the second half and turned this into a game. I think the Storm should be disappointed that they only scored 2 tries in the first half for how dominant they were up the guts with basically every member of their team, but in the second, the Dogs improved their defense and started getting rolling themselves. They need to play with momentum to play well, and the Storm, who are pretty small by elite team standards, are a good matchup for them. Ultimately, the difference is a Zach Lomax that the Dogs went 1 from 3 on conversions and a Stephen Crichton no try that I've changed my mind about maybe 30 times because I'm seeing downward pressure and control, but also he did drop it. I don't love this regrip thing, but I know that the rules have to be objective because the alternative is the old benefit of the doubt rule that always made everyone angry. Dogs finally play 40 good minutes of footy after 160 minutes of stink, and now Ivan's getting his old mate Cameron Saldo a win to keep them in the top 4. I still think they're frauds and chokers, and if they're in the top 4, they're going out in straight sets. Stinkers, Dolphins stank up Brookvale Oval on Saturday afternoon and Manly took it to them in DCE's 350th, keeping them in mathematical contention if the Dolphins keep getting destroyed and if Manly win by like a combined total of 90. Dolphins have conceded 160 points in the last 3 games but are about to play the Titans, and teams tend to play better the week after their coach gets fired, so you never know. Poor old Dolphins falling at the final hurdle in August once again. I think missing half their starting side and 4 of their 5 best players probably has something to do with it. I might have been quick to judge Manly and put them completely away after the Tigers game, but I hate them and that's my right. Whilst Titans went exactly as predicted, Titans games don't really matter at this point of the year. I enjoyed the post-game more than the game itself. Des not giving whichever journo it was the soundbite about David Fafita, so after 3 attempts he goes for the low blow and says it's embarrassing that there were more Warriors fans at the ground than Titans fans. Des has since been fired, but I think he won that exchange, so a point for Hasler and like a million against. Warriors have found like their 3rd identity for this season, taking account of all their injuries. Tana Boyd back again, that's fun, and they're heading home this week to play the Eels, who finished out Super Saturday by tearing the wings off the Roosters, potentially ending their season after Sam Walker went off early with a HIA that takes him out of this week too. And it just completes the Roosters post-origin cycle of looking like the best team in the world with their insane level of talent, then they cop a bad injury and fall out of contention at the end of the year or run out of puff in week 1 of the finals. The Eels were really good in this game, and I like them sticking with Joash Papali at 6 to see if they can make it work, since you'd rather have Iongi at fullback than him. And I also just like watching Dylan Brown play. Back in the lineup, he's great fun. 22 errors by the Roosters, and they were certainly clunky without Walker and having Watson fill in at 7, but Mark Nwanga-Tavase flick pass, that was sick. Broncos Knights intermission. Please go back 1 video in 9 minutes 58. But in the meantime, something I wanted to say but not make a whole take out of, why would the NRL not want a guy who constantly trashes the modern game and calls all the players soft pricks to be a cultural mentor for the Kangaroos? Weird. Finishing up the round, 4 p.m. Channel 9 game at Leichhardt Oval between the Tigers and Cowboys, and this was everything you want from a Sunday sunset game. An 11-try shootout, a somewhat dormant rivalry, but one that calls back to a great time in the league and one of the best grand finals ever played, which gets a whole lot more reminiscent when Cam Smith's in the stand pre-game yelling Thurston, and Taylor May is throwing huge flick passes behind his own back. Dream Bull is going over, and the commentary becomes me in Fiji after 45 beers at the swim-up bar seeing one of my family members return from whatever they were doing to avoid me. After that Naden try, when the ball just popped up perfectly only moments after Luai scored in front of the home crowd, the place is exploding. And that felt like this big moment that not only will the Tigers win this game, but they're going beyond all odds to make it into the 8. But Scott Drinkwater says, nah, here's 3 tries in 6 minutes. There's your Queensland spirit from a New South Welshman. Great game and a great finish to the round. More big games heading into this round with places 3 through 8 still up for grabs. All right, go Bronx.